The headlines of this hour on VTV News. President Putin's state visit to Vietnam concluded with many achievements. Later on, tax collection policy on goods purchased through e-commerce sites to be changed. And in a world news, more than 1,000 people die at HAJJ pilgrimage 2024.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin returned home on the evening of June the 20th, successfully concluding his state visit to Vietnam at the invitation of General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng. During his working visit, the Russian president held talks with General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng and State President Tô Lâm and met with Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn. At the same time, he had a friendly exchange with many generations of students studying in Russia. On this occasion, Vietnam and the Russian Federation issued a joint statement on the deepening the Vietnam-Russian Federation Comprehensive Strategic Partnership after 30 years of successfully implementing the bilateral treaty on principles of friendly relations. National Assembly deputies took part in the plenary session and voiced their opinions on the draft law on juvenile justice at the latest work session of the 7th session of the 15th National Assembly on June the 21st. Take a look.
The deputies agreed with the government's submission and the National Assembly's review report on the draft law on juvenile justice. The 2 points that received the most feedback were measures to handle diversion and the regulations to separate juveniles in criminal cases.
I agree with the regulation to separate cases for independent settlement to ensure the principle of quick and timely settlement, prioritizing simplified procedures in the best interest of juveniles. If we wait for the investigation, children will lose the opportunity to study and work when they have to wait for the case to be resolved.
Some deputies said that juvenile subjects should not be separated from cases because it would affect the accuracy and comprehensiveness of the case. Some said that the regulations should be flexible rather than rigid.
Separating will affect the comprehensiveness of the case. For example, if a case has 5 defendants, the juvenile is sentenced to 3 years in prison. Then, the remaining members are sentenced to heavy duties. So now, how do we deal with the juvenile subject? Should we appeal to the Chief Justice?
The rigid regulations, as in the draft law, will greatly affect the proper and comprehensive resolution of the case. Therefore, I propose to study the regulations in an open direction, stating that for cases involving minors and adults who commit crimes, priority should be given to separating them for independent resolution.
Also, the National Assembly passed a resolution to establish a thematic supervision team to implement policies and laws on environmental protection in the wake of the Law on Environmental Protection 2020 taking effect.
Friday, June the 21st marks the 99th anniversary of Vietnam Revolutionary Press Day. To honor the contributions and creativity of journalists, the 18th National Press Awards ceremony will be held on the evening of June the 21st. A different event format for this year's event is being introduced. It will focus on the award-winning writers, honoring them and inspiring other journalists. This event will once again affirm the prestige of the National Press Awards as the most important press awards in Vietnam. This year, the National Press Awards have more than 1,900 entries. Among these, 10 A prizes, 26 B prizes, 45 C prizes, and 41 encouragement prizes have been selected by the jury. This year, the output of early lychee in Tân Yên district of Bắc Giang province yielded about 15,000 tons, achieving a total revenue of $23.5 million, an increase of 1.5 times compared to last year. That is the highest revenue ever recorded. Welcome news for the district's lychee growers. This year, Tân Yên early lychees are in heavy demand in domestic and foreign markets. More than 70% of the output is exported to China, Australia, Japan, and the United States. The remainder is sold domestically. This has affirmed Tân Yên early lychee crop's quality and standard. Credit demand slowly recovered in the first months of the year. However, the growth rate is still quite slow. By mid-June, it only increased by nearly 3.8%. In the context of the world market's weak recovery, which is affecting domestic businesses, the pressure to disburse credit from now until the end of the year is relatively high.
This enterprise is purchasing cereal to produce nut milk. Because of that, it increasingly needs to borrow money to purchase raw materials for the second quarter to accelerate production and hit its annual growth target of 150%.
We are borrowing about over $1.1 million, and the interest rate has decreased significantly to about 6% compared to last year.
To support import-export businesses, especially the agricultural sector, this bank is implementing a loan package of $785 million with lower preferential annual interest rate of 2 to 2.4%.
We implemented a 100% exemption of export payment fees and foreign currency transfers for new credit relationships and 50% for existing customers,
along with preferential loan packages for each business. After about 3 months of requiring banks to publicly disclose average lending interest rates, a common low-cost capital supply level has been created in the market. In addition to transferring limits from banks with low credit growth and efficiency to banks with more active operations, the State Bank has also promoted programs connecting banks and businesses in provinces and cities to provide localized business capital.
We are strengthening coordination solutions with sectors and enterprises in the area, organizing dialogues with enterprises to promptly grasp and resolve problems while actively solving capital needs. I believe that credit will be more active up ahead, achieving optimal efficiency.
The government has emphasized promoting credit growth as one of the top priorities and required banks to focus on giving credit to production and business sectors and growth drivers, thereby promoting exports.
The National Assembly's Finance and Budget Committee has proposed that the government develop appropriate policies to expand tax revenue sources that is especially applicable to small retail goods that are traded through e-commerce platforms in extremely large quantities but are exempt from import tax and value-added tax.
This enterprise specializes in providing custom clearance services for imported goods from the Shopee e-commerce site. The demand for online shopping in Vietnam is increasing, so the volume of goods has increased sharply every year.
In recent years, the quantity of goods have increased so much that our staff has tripled or quadrupled to handle customs clearance.
The total goods purchased on Shopee, Lazada, Tiki, and TikTok each month are worth up to $1.9 billion. According to current regulations, imported goods with a value of less than $39 sent via express delivery are exempt from VAT and import tax.
I agree with many opinions expressed in the National Assembly that we must tighten and have a mechanism to tax e-commerce goods and goods sent by post to consumers to ensure fairness and avoid tax losses.
The Kyoto International Convention has also implemented Vietnam's tax exemption for small retail imports. However, some countries have now abolished this regulation.
Recently, many countries have made changes. Our government and the National Assembly will consider amending the existing regulations. The tax and customs sectors will strictly implement measures to manage small-scale goods when there are amendments.
This should be amended. The new conditions currently applying electronic customs procedures can simplify customs procedures to shorten clearance time while still collecting taxes, unlike the previous paper procedures, which were cumbersome.
According to experts, Vietnam needs more technological solutions to collect taxes on small-scale imported goods and amend legal regulations. The number of documents to be processed during the electronic custom clearance process will be much larger than now.
Before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam Dong and some world currencies in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News. Hanoians struggle with scorching heat, with temperature closely approaching 40 degrees Celsius. Later on, Gathan becomes the first national park in Vietnam on IUCN Green List. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now, since the beginning of the year, over 78,000 Vietnamese have been working abroad, reaching 62% of the yearly plan and exceeding 107% compared to the same period last year, according to data by the Department of Overseas Labor under the Ministry of Labor, War Invalids and Social Affairs. The majority of workers are working in Japan and Taiwan, China. In particular, this year, the number of people registering to go to South Korea has increased sharply in the past 12 years, with over 44,000 applications. In response to the spike, authorities will strengthen measures to prevent fraud of illegal overseas labor in markets with high recruitment needs, such as Australia and South Korea. A hot spell lasting several days has greatly impacted the daily lives of people in the capital city of Hanoi. Severe heat has forced many locals, especially those working outdoors, to find ways to protect themselves from the harsh weather conditions.
Many workers find working outdoors during periods of extreme heat a great challenge. A sanitation worker, Phie, works outdoors every day. She has taken numerous measures to protect herself from the extreme heat.
I'm exhausted. Even though I'm taking different measures to cope with heat waves, including regular vitamin C intake, I still feel very tired. There are days when I come home, I don't want to do anything.
Prolonged heat waves have affected the daily lives of these sewer workers. The combination of unpleasant smell and scorching heat in a narrow has made their work more stressful than ever.
I'm feeling dizzy and uncomfortable due to prolonged heat waves. The board of directors allow us to go home early to avoid the intense heat. In addition, we have switched to work in the evening.
As of Friday, the capital city also experienced extremely hot weather for 10 consecutive days, with the highest temperature ranging between 37 and 39 degrees Celsius. The record heat will continue in Hanoi and the northern region until Saturday. People should drink plenty of water and wear light-colored clothing to avoid heat stroke. In addition, take a break of 10 to 15 minutes after every 60 minutes of intense work in the heat.
The Mekong Delta is home to more than 1.5 million ethnic people, accounting for nearly 6.8% of the population. The Khmer people number more than 1.2 million and are among the most populous ethnic groups in the region. Most of them make their living through farming, while the rest sell goods or work as hired labor. Thanks to the government's preferential policies and support, the lives of the local Khmer, especially those on low incomes, have changed positively in recent years.
Previously, Son's farming land was often contaminated with alum, causing crop damage and impacting his livelihood. Since the government rebuilt the local irrigation system, his family and other regional Khmer households have switched to rice shrimp farming.
Now, my family have a stable income. I switched to organic farming and can earn higher profits from rice shrimp farming.
Previously, the Khmer people here worked as hired labor. Thanks to the government support, they switched to rice shrimp farming. Therefore, their lives have changed significantly.
To reduce poverty among ethnic groups, authorities in the Mekong Delta have implemented numerous initiatives to help poor and near-poor families stabilize their lives. Local ethnic people are provided with financial support packages to maintain agricultural production and build communal houses.
Thanks to the government's huge support, we built a boarding school for ethnic children and a new communal house for the whole village. The lives of ethnic people have changed.
Hundreds of preferential policies have been implemented to improve the lives of ethnic people in the Mekong Delta. Furthermore, the government has prioritized building essential infrastructure facilities for ethnic communities, helping them enjoy a better life.
Joint efforts between the Mison Cultural Heritage Management Board and the people of Son Vien Commune, Nông Sơn District, Quảng Nam Province aim to protect the Mison Sanctuary's forest area. Regular communication will be essential to protect this forest, thus preventing deforestation, exploitation, encroachment on forestry land, illegal transportation and trading of forest products and wild animals. The collaboration will also bolster firefighting forces. The Mison Sanctuary forest area spans nearly 1,100 hectares and is home to many rare species of animals and plants. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, has officially recognized Gathan National Park in southern Vietnam as the 72nd addition to its prestigious Green List of protected and conserved areas. The park is the second Green List site in Vietnam, along with Vân Long Wetland Nature Reserve, which was recognized in 2021. Unlike other biodiversity titles, the IUCN Green List title is a global initiative for successful nature conservation, aiming to recognize and increase the number of protected and conserved areas that deliver long-lasting conservation results for people and nature. Gathan National Park has pursued this title for 10 years, achieving the full set of 17 globally consistent criteria and 50 indicators required to be on the list. Gathan National Park is the only place where freshwater crocodile populations exist in the wild and has the largest number of gaurs in Vietnam. The Sea Festival, entitled Hoan Summer Emotions 2024, is being held in Hoan City of the Central Province of Quảng Nam. This year's Hoan Sea Festival stands out for its blend of island culture and traditional cultural heritage. It offers numerous attractive activities held at the beach's Cham Island. Many other activities related to music, cuisine, sports events, and weekly music exchange performances by street bands and acoustic clubs are also held at Good Eye Beach. The annual festival is aimed to respond to the stimulus program to attract tourists to Quảng Nam in 2024. It will also contribute to presenting and promoting the strengths of sea and island tourism resources, while also focusing on developing Hội An as a green tourism destination. Sway dancing is an art genre of ethnic Thais, which has received a UNESCO certification as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. In the northern province of Điện Biên, home to a large community of Thais, the art of sway dance is being preserved via village-based tropes. The model has created a playground for people to gather, have fun, and ultimately pass down their knowledge in order to promote the sway dance in contemporary life.
When you dance with a bill scarf in your hands, you should always look at it.
Bak Thimi used to be a member of professional art troupe when she was young. She has a great love for Sui dance. Since her village established its own dance troupe in 2020, she has never missed any weekend activities, which take place at the village culture house.
Sui dance is deeply rooted in our culture. When the local authorities set up this troupe, it allowed us to better preserve the art genre. At the age of 82, I feel very proud to be a member of the dance group.
Currently, the Chiang Quang village Sui troupe has 40 members. Every weekend, young women in the village have a chance to learn about the origin and meaning of traditional dances directly from veteran artisans.
We can improve our knowledge by joining the troupe. The most joyous thing is I have learned so many dances from other moms and sisters. Now I know how to dance with scarves, bamboo fans, drums, and the solidarity dance.
Điện Biên province now has more than 1,200 art troupes across its hamlets and villages. Particularly, the Thai Sui dance practices have proved effective in meeting the needs for people to experience cultural activities.
Many elderly people are passionate about teaching younger generations about Sui dance. Teaching and practicing Sui dance has become a regular cultural activity at local Thai villages here.
The happy moments that these people share while joining hands in the Sui dance is expected to further motivate the preservation and development of the art among the communities in Điện Biên.
Coming up next in our world news. More than 1,000 people die at HAJJ pilgrimage 2024. And later on, Israel-Hezbollah tensions spark fears of regional conflict. Now moving on to our world news, the death toll from this year's Hajj has exceeded 1,000, an AFP tally said on Thursday. More than half of them unregistered worshippers who performed the pilgrimage in extreme heat in Saudi Arabia. The National Meteorological Center reported a high of 51.8 degrees Celsius this week at the Grand Mosque in Mecca. Saudi authorities reported clearing hundreds of thousands of unregistered pilgrims from Mecca this month. However, many still participated in the main rites that began last Friday. This group was more vulnerable to the heat because, without official permits, they could not access air-conditioned spaces provided by Saudi authorities to cool down after hours of walking and praying outside. Egypt formed a crisis unit on Thursday to investigate the deaths of Egyptians taking part in the annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca during the extreme heat. Egypt's cabinet added that companies facilitating travel for unregistered pilgrims would be investigated and penalized. Many parts of the world are currently experiencing above-average temperatures. While some areas are seeing colder conditions, far more regions are enjoying temperatures described as being quite a lot warmer than average. Swaths of the globe, including North America, Southern and Eastern Asia, and Southeastern Europe, are currently experiencing extreme temperatures.
India has recorded more than 40,000 suspected heatstroke cases this summer and at least 110 confirmed deaths between March 1st and June 18th. Meanwhile, extreme weather continues to wreak havoc in Europe, where high temperatures and intense storms are affecting various regions. Climate change dialed up the thermostat and turbocharged the odds of this month's killer heat across the southwestern United States, Mexico, and Central America. Sizzling daytime temperatures that triggered cases of heat stroke in parts of the United States were 35 times more likely and 2.5 degrees hotter because of the warming from the burning of coal, oil, and natural gas. The heat is forcing the elderly into their homes. Parents are trying desperately to cool children, who at a young age have not developed the ability to regulate their body temperatures.
If it goes above 40 degrees, then we're entering a risk zone. Some people will be fine, some people won't, but this is where problems start to happen. So the organs of the body can start to fail, or at least start to work less optimally. So there's a range of reasons why, from about 40 degrees C onwards, and it's only subtle at 40 degrees, but as body temperature continues to increase, those problems get worse and worse. until you can end up with organ failure, and if you get heart failure, that will result in hypoxia, so low oxygen in the body, less oxygen getting to the brain. There we are.
The World Meteorological Organization warned there is a high probability that 2024 will be another record hot year. The United Nations Weather Agency also said the return of the cooling La Niña weather phenomenon this year should help lower temperatures somewhat after months of global heat records.
Hezbollah said it fired dozens of rockets into northern Israel on Thursday in retaliation for an airstrike in southern Lebanon conducted by Israel. Hezbollah also claimed several other attacks on Israeli troops and positions over the course of the day. Israel-Hezbollah tensions have sparked fears of a regional conflict. The leader of Hezbollah has vowed a fight with no rules and with no red lines if full-out war erupts between the Lebanese militant group and Israel. On June 11th, an Israeli strike in southern Lebanon killed senior Hezbollah commander Taleb Abdallah, prompting Hezbollah to launch scores of rockets deep inside Israel in retaliation. Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other regions in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download a mobile app, VTVgo, for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.